Okay, so we are going to discuss drawing the contour lines of our animal painting. We're getting set up for next week when we start actually transferring our gridded image onto another piece of paper that we'll actually paint on. So you were handed a large 11 by 15 sheet of rough draft paper, okay? In class, you were all there, so I'm just reviewing. We laid out a grid on the paper and we laid out a grid over our photo. Okay, now the photo should be as close to 8.5 by 11 as you can make it. We cropped it so that the window that we're using is 7 inches by 10 inches. So to write it out, the original, so that's the photo, was 7 inches by 10 inches with 1 inch squares that were made on top of that. And then when we came to our rough draft paper, we made a 10.5 inch by 15 inch rectangle, and we gridded that into 1.5 inch squares. So for every square, that's 1.5 inches. For every square over here, it's 1 inch. Okay, so that is on the website typed up, but that's what we did in class. We completed that, and now we're ready to draw. So let's talk about that. We do not want for this, all we're trying to do is outline the shapes that we need to paint later. I don't want you to spend any time, no time, turning this into an actual drawing like you did with your faces. Okay, so this should have no shading, no texture, no little oodly details. You just want the basic outline so that we can transfer those basic outlines to the painting paper so that then when you go to begin to paint, you don't have to worry about any of the outlines being right or wrong. They're all going to be right. Okay? So I do suggest that you label at the top your either letters or numbers, and then vice versa down the side. If you did letters at the top, do numbers down on the side, however you want to fix it, just so that you don't get lost. All right, we talked about that before. Another thing we've talked about is the fact that it's actually very helpful to turn your paper in different directions because you're trying to trick your brain into only seeing shapes so that, just for instance, you might actually draw this too simply. If I were to just draw the nose, I have to admit my mind wants to just draw it like a teardrop, just like a teardrop. But it's not actually just a teardrop. It's got some edges to it. So we want to notice those edges. So it's important that we actually feel free and very comfortable turning our paper in any direction we want, just so that we get those shapes right. I want to also tell you that if you turn the original sideways or upside down, please make sure you draw your drawing, you turn it also sideways and upside down. You don't want to turn the drawing upside down and this paper is in a different direction. They need to go together as a match set. So when you turn one, you turn the other. Okay, so I'm going to turn mine sideways just so I can see it a little better because I already noticed that I would have messed up that nose had I not. So I'm going to look at E6. And here's E6 because I found it. And I'm trying to get this in the frame. Sorry. Okay, I think I got that. This is E6. So I'm going to start just outlining that nose. And I'm going to try to draw fast because you don't need to watch me draw a whole entire thing. Where does it go? It goes into D6, and at D6 it kind of ends. Wow, there's a really deep crease there, isn't there? Now some of the details are, they're very clear, but you're going to put that in painting, so I'm not going to worry too much about that shape. Some shapes you can kind of skip over because you'll paint those in. It'll be fine. But it's just when you're going to draw the outline of the shape, you want to get most of it you can. Already notice, see how this shape right here is lower than this shape? I think my brain would have put them level. I wouldn't have noticed that one is lower than the other. So very important that you feel comfortable turning it upside down, turning it right side, and turning it sideways, just so that you're really noticing those small details. That's, if you practice that, that's what's going to make drawing work for you. Drawing is just seeing how one shape relates to the other and making sure you place them in the right proximity to each other. It's a lot like a bunch of jigsaw puzzles pieces put together. If you can put each piece next to the appropriate piece where it goes, it's going to fall together. Okay, so I'm just going to get this schnoz finished up, and then I'll let you go. I'll draw it out so you have an idea, or how about this? I'll take a picture of it when I'm done so that you can see a finished product of what I'm talking about. We just don't need much more detail than the basic outline, okay? That's what you're going to need to paint. When we go to paint, then we'll throw in all this blending and the texture and all that, okay? Okay, so that's the idea. You're just going to go through, get all those outlines down, and then in class, we will transfer those outlines onto your paper using a transfer technique I'll show you in class, and then we'll start painting, okay? Thanks.